based solely on the description, I honestly didn't think In Search of the Castaways was going to be my kind of film. I didn't expect to like this at all, but actually I really thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm watching all of the Disney feature films in chronological order, and there have been some surprises, and this is one of them. It was released in 1962, directed by Robert Stevenson, written by Jules Verne and Lowell S. Harley, and Hayley Mills plays Mary Grant, and Keith Hamshere plays Robert Grant, and they are the children of a captain who is considered dead, but they receive a message in a bottle. Well, actually, this Frenchman receives a message in a bottle, and I have to say, he is such a fantastic character. He's played by Maurice Chevalier, and he made this so funny. Absolutely hilarious at the right times. Of course, it's not necessarily a comedy, it's a family fantasy adventure film. Well, actually, I wouldn't say so much fantasy. It's labeled as fantasy on IMDb, but definitely a family adventure film. But the Frenchman I just love. I thought he was absolutely fabulous, and they managed to persuade Lord Edward Glenarvan and his son to take them on this voyage to try and find their missing father, convinced that it's based in this message in a bottle. But the message in the bottle's not exactly clear. So they definitely go on a bit of a wild goose chase. And honestly, the Frenchman, I love him. I think he's absolutely fantastic. And he's kind of the reason why it was a bit of a wild goose chase. And they end up in various different locations. And I won't say exactly where they go to. I don't want to spoil the journey. But it's definitely pretty fabulous. There are some depictions of certain cultures that are maybe a bit awkward, but generally it's a pretty safe film given, you know, the time period and what a lot of other films were like. It's magnificent. This kind of thing does not sound like my kind of film at all, but it is compelling. The pacing is amazing. The very first scene, I'd say within the first minute, this message in a bottle has been presented. They waste no time at all, and of course the bulk of it is about this journey, and they go to so many different places, so many different locations. I'm not entirely sure how much of it was filmed on location. According to IMDb, a lot of it was filmed at Pinewood Studios and Twickenham Film Studios, but there must have been some on location shoots, and it's just beautifully done. And the big question is, of course, will they find their father? Was it him who sent the message? And I won't say any more than that because I don't want to spoil it. I will say that it's made me kind of tempted to read Jules Verne's book on which it's based. I've got no idea how it compares. I've never read the book. I don't even know if I've ever seen a copy of the book. But I am actually kind of curious to see what it's like. There's one scene in this that I love, and I'll discuss that in a moment with the spoiler warning, but I thought it was beautifully shot, and especially for the time, the editing is just wonderful. You can definitely tell where certain scenes are heavily relying on green screens and special effects, but certain scenes are just mind-blowing. And the narrative was really wonderful as well, and it's not my kind of narrative. I don't care for this kind of story. But actually, with this, I really did. Hayley Mills gave an absolutely fantastic performance. Chronologically speaking, I'd say this is her best performance with Disney so far. I don't know how many more Disney films she appears in, but definitely from the ones I've watched chronologically, I think this one was the most mature, the most developed performance. Really thoroughly enjoyed this film. Absolutely not at all what I was expecting. Spoiler. So the bit that I loved is the bit, again, it's a big spoiler. Well, not really, but a medium spoiler. When they are up in the mountain and the earthquake happens and they shoot down those snowy mountainsides on those bits of rock, was it? And then the rocks separate, and it's just so wonderful, so beautifully shot. And yeah, you can tell sometimes when they're green screening it or whatever, but I just thought it was really exciting and really fun, and that's the point where I decided actually I'm really thoroughly loving this film. Definitely had a lot more fun with it than I was expecting. If you haven't seen it, I thoroughly recommend it.